Today, we're doing a tier list to rank every invention Stewie has ever made. This is the second part of a video we put up a couple of weeks ago, so be sure to watch that first if you haven't yet. Stewie would help all of existence when he inadvertently invented the universe itself in the episode The Big Bang Theory. So when Brian and Stewie are fighting over the time machine, they accidentally propel themselves outside of the space-time continuum.
Non-existence. No past, no future, no universe.
Well, if SpongeBob taught us anything, they're only a few moments away from a complete mental breakdown.
But we're outside the space-time continuum, so there are no laws of physics. Watch.
Well, the void doesn't seem all that bad. You can even make your own Mario Paint songs out of nothing. But there's no place like home, and they need to get back to it.
If I overload the return pad's reactor, it might release enough energy to blow us back into the universe.
So they give it a try, and wouldn't you know it, it works and then some.
The universe's cosmic background radiation, a kind of echo of the Big Bang, precisely matches the energy spectrum of my return pad.
So in a sort of roundabout way, Stewie is the creator of all. Well, we don't want to get smited, so we're gonna have to put this one in the S tier. I mean, it's the freaking universe. It doesn't get any bigger than that. But I suppose this means he's also responsible for creating everything bad in the universe too? Huh, maybe we should move it to D. And in Mr. and Mrs. Stewie, Stewie apparently creates a ray gun that can do a little bit of everything. So Stewie meets Penelope, a little girl who may just be as psychotic as him, if not more.
Did you kill her?
Well, I held the knife. And her hair.
Clearly it isn't the knife's fault. Remember, the only way to stop a psycho baby with a knife is a not as psycho baby with a knife.
Then swear on that love that you'll do what I ask.
Just name it.
Kill him. Kill Brian for me.
And it looks like Stewie's gonna have to be that kind of baby. Because when Stewie refuses to go through with it, Penelope decides to take it into her own hands.
It appears I'll have to kill him myself.
What?
I knew you were too weak to do this.
Yeah, but are you surprised? That yellow shirt, red overalls combo doesn't exactly scream gangster to me. And when Penelope comes to collect Brian's head, Stewie jumps right up to defend him.
Slow motion diving at you!
And in that fight, Stewie whips out a ray gun that seems to cover all his bases. It can shoot a ray beam like you'd expect, change the size of objects, and it can send out an electromagnetic pulse. It's a real Swiss Army knife of a gun. I wonder how it knows what to do when Stewie shoots something, considering there's just a trigger. But it's because of this vagueness that we're gonna put this one in C. It's cool, but it kinda just feels like a cop-out when one device can inexplicably do everything you need it to. But Stewie would try his hand at teleportation once again in Road to Vegas, but similarly to the neural enhancement device, it ends up creating unwanted copies. So Brian and Stewie are getting ready for a flight to Las Vegas, but Stewie has a different mode of travel to suggest.
I recently completed construction on a teleportation device, and it occurred to me this may be the perfect chance to try it out.
You and your friend should always be the guinea pigs for an untested device. It's not like you guys can't spare a few missing atoms anyway, but the only way to get it to work is with kinetic energy from dancing.
You've got to dance. What are you doing, you tool?
Could have been more embarrassing. Stewie could have invented the first time machine powered by twerking. So they fire it up, but nothing happens.
It appears there may still be a few more bugs to work out. Then it was worth a try.
But it did work, sending a copy of Brian and Stewie to Vegas while the original two got left behind.
You know, this is going to be a good trip, Brian. I really feel like fate is on our side.
Well, it turns out that fate is a cruel, fickle mistress because she's not on either of the pair's side. The clones lose their Stewie.
You son of a bitch. Ah, Stewie!
And the originals lose their Brian.
You...
So yeah, that's about the average Vegas experience right there. Even if it's got some hiccups, we're still gonna give this one a B. It has a bit more identity to it than the Star Trek transporter, and even though the cloning thing is probably a negative, it does give you some contingency in case, I don't know, you and your friend both die in Vegas. Again, that's just the normal experience. And now... we have to talk about that pregnancy machine from Stewie is on Sant. So Stewie's trying to hang out with Brian, but he just won't make any time for him.
I can't, I got plans. I'll see you later.
Oh, sure, maybe another time.
Yeah, they aren't making those plans, and it looks like Stewie can't take the hint. Man's best friend doesn't apply when you're still a baby, I guess. Maybe grow more than 9 hairs, and then they'll talk.
But I thought you and I could hang out and maybe watch Lois shush Peter while they watch Nashville.
Maybe another time, Stewie.
But when Stewie sees all the bonding that Joe, Bonnie, and Susie are experiencing, Stewie realizes what he needs to do.
That's it, Rupert. That's how Brian and I are going to improve our relationship. We're going to have a baby.
I mean, you guys could probably just kidnap Susie. Nothing brings a couple of bros together like a little abduction.
The fertilization device is complete. This will impregnate me with the child that will bring Brian and me back together.
Are you telling me that just saying that sentence hasn't already convinced you this is a bad idea? No? Alright then, enjoy your morning sickness and everybody wanting to touch your belly. Actually, I don't think anyone's gonna want to touch you.
You're gonna watch me get pregnant. I want to look at you when it happens.
This kind of dirty talk is no longer acceptable in the bedroom. You need to take that crap to hell. Actually, no, take it to super hell, where the super devil lives. But unfortunately, the procedure is a success.
Brian, we're pregnant! Oh my god!
A little too successful, considering it leads to Stewie giving birth to a whole litter of disgraces against nature.
I just put Jack and Rose down for their nap, and I'm trying to keep the more attractive ones in this area.
Which, from the looks of things, is like trying to decide who's cuter between a blobfish and an anglerfish. But, like with Stewie's clones, they don't tend to make it very long.
I thought we were down to 5.
Yeah, the deaf one didn't hear Joe's lawnmower.
Oh, that's really upsetting.
So is there anywhere else the make the baby pregnant machine deserves to be than D? Sure, it works, but its application is just far too disturbing and unnerving to get behind. They should have just tried the natural way for a toddler and dog to have a baby, which is not at all. But Stewie would build a robotic kid named Lyall so he could have a friend, though his own creation soon outgrows him in Guy Robot. So Brian starts doing stand-up comedy by stealing Stewie's tweets, causing him to sever their friendship.
You know what? That's it. You and I are no longer friends.
Now, if only Stewie had another friend he could slide into that vacant best friend spot. It can't be Rupert, that's too embarrassing. But what might be more embarrassing is building one for yourself.
Is this dog bothering you, Stewie?
What the hell? You couldn't find a real friend, so you built a robot?
To be fair, there aren't many real kids who can match Stewie's intelligence. Probably for the better. The last one was Penelope, and she nearly killed Brian.
I've even programmed him to learn and grow smarter. His name is Lyall.
Well, can you maybe teach him how to dress next? He may have the skin of a Barbie, but that doesn't mean I want to look at it. But Lyall quickly surpasses even Stewie's genius, leaving him in the intellectual dust.
I'm sorry, but I've outpaced your intelligence. I needed to create some friends who are my cognitive peers.
This is where we're probably heading with AI. Pretty soon, my Hatsune Miku virtual wife will leave me for a supercomputer with a 401k. I've already accepted that. But with both Stewie and Brian kicked to the curb, the two decide it's best if they just get rid of the robots.
I designed them to be constantly adapting.
It's done. I sprayed him with a hose.
Oh, nice. Now I know what to do with that supercomputer trying to steal my wife. We think Lyall is a solid B invention, helping to show that mental superiority can always be turned back on you the second you aren't the smartest guy in the room. Plus, his design just reminds me of the transparent tech we had back in the 2000s, which really tickles the nostalgia bone in my body. Which also happens to be the only bone in my body. But Stewie would go from the physical to the mental when he designed a digital dream interface to figure out the source of his nightmares and a lot going on upstairs. So Stewie's having trouble sleeping due to having the same recurring nightmare every night.
Ha ha! Stewie's naked!
What?
Is being naked in front of a crowd a common nightmare? I don't think I've ever had one. I'm sure that says something about me, but I'm not the one being mentally evaluated here.
Oh, thank you so much. Ah!
So while the dream changes, the shadow monster appears in each. I think Stewie just needs to talk to him. Me and the shadow figure at the end of my bed are pretty chill.
People have nightmares all the time.
Oh no, Brian, I am not living through that horror again.
So Stewie decides to build a dream machine to tackle his nightmares head on. It has a dream catcher on it, so you know he means business. Or he went to an art fair.
You will be able to enter my sleeping mind, where you will end these horrible dreams once and for all.
Now, are these Nightmare on Elm Street rules where if you die in the dream, you die for real? If so, how nice of you to volunteer Brian for that, Stewie.
And once you're in my dream, your job is to stop these nightmares by finding that monster and killing him.
So they hop right into it, but honestly, some of these dreams don't seem so bad.
Would you like to do the Bristol Stomp?
There's certainly worse things than dancing with Glenn Close. Although she did play Cruella in the 101 Dalmatians movies, so Brian may have some hang-ups about that. But after a trippy trip through Stewie's dreamscape, the pair finally come face to face with the nightmare monster. That's a heck of an arm on Brian. Not sure if that's in regulation with foosball rules, but I'll allow it.
You did it, Brian! You killed the monster!
So Brian was the monster all along? Did he hit Stewie? Chew up Rupert? Pee on him while he slept?
Deep down, the thing I'm most afraid of is disappointing you.
Ah, well that's slightly less traumatizing than what I suggested. But it's pretty heartwarming to see how much Brian's opinion means to Stewie. So the dream device is getting an S, because similarly to the time machine and the multiverse device, this invention allows the show to get weird and out there with its scenarios. It's better than trying to lucid dream, which can just give you sleep paralysis. But me and my shadow monster are cool, so no need to worry about that. But things would get uncool really quickly when Stewie decided to pump honeybees full of steroids in Gronkowski's. So Stewie started making his own honey thanks to his own little colony of bees.
You know, you could probably sell this stuff.
Really? You think it's that good?
So good that Brian's willing to get in on a 25% share of the profits without lifting a finger, just like a true business mogul. And with Stewie's beekeeping skills and Brian's ability to use up oxygen, their honey becomes a big hit at the local farmer's market.
This is all grass to bottle.
Ooh.
I know, right? That'll be $68.
Dang, maybe I need to get in on this farmer's market game. Think there's a high enough demand for homemade clam juice? And no, it's not what you're thinking. Okay, it is what you're thinking.
We've got to make these bees more productive, get them to make more honey.
How are we going to do that?
Steroids, Brian.
Ah yes, the juice of champions that eventually have to return their championships when they get caught. But bees don't compete in sports, so I guess it's okay to get them juiced.
Okay, Mr. B, we'll give you the employee discount. After all,
Yeah, as soon as bees start having biceps and abs, it's time to dip.
My God, Brian, run!
They need to get rid of the bees, and fortunately, the swarm goes where the queen goes. That's the great thing about having a fence. You can just throw things over it and make it your neighbor's problem. Out of sight, out of mind. Though it might be tricky getting the sight of those roided out bugs out of their mind. The bees are going in the C tier, mostly because there was no way juicing those things was going to work out the way they wanted. If you want a successful business, you gotta do it the old-fashioned way, by killing your competitors. After all, it's what Ronald McDonald did to Big Boy. And calling back to an invention from Lois Kills Stewie, we have the particle interchange transport machine, which ends up switching the bodies of almost everyone in town. So Brian's feeling sorry for himself, disappointed that his life isn't what he envisioned.
You know, Brian, if I had, one day in your body, I would give it back to you with a new and improved life.
I don't know, if you're having to take life advice from a baby, it may already be over. But Brian wants to take up Stewie on that offer. So what, he's gotta skin Brian and wear his fur and pretend he's him?
This device will allow me to inhabit your body and you mine. That way, I can fix your life.
Oh, yeah, that's probably better than my gross idea. That's definitely more of a Peter plan if I'm being honest. I'll be sure to run it by him later.
Stewie, I think it worked.
We did it! We switched bodies!
So Stewie tries to change Brian's life by getting him a teaching job, but that fails pretty quickly.
You wrote on the board, everything is poetry.
Ignore that!
And then he tries to get Brian a girlfriend, which goes even worse.
Help! She's trying to eat me!
Get back here! You owe me $100!
Geez, that's a pretty steep price for getting eaten. What's happened to our economy? It turns out that Brian's life is just unfixable, so they decide to return to their own bodies.
Hey, Four Eyes.
What did you call me?
Oh, you're deaf too?
It's okay, that's just how the Griffin boys show affection. But now their bodies and minds are mixed up again.
What happened?
Stewie, is that you?
Yes, Brian, God, that is a tight belt.
So now Stewie is Peter, Brian is Chris, Chris is Brian, and Peter is Stewie. Got that down? I hope so, because it only gets more confusing from here.
Oh my God, the machine's been damaged! It's broken!
So now Brian and Chris have to rush to fix the machine before Stewie, in Peter's body, gets the scarring of a lifetime.
Brian, you've got to help me. Lois signed us up for some perverse PP-related class on the female orgasm.
Oh, you think Stewie has it bad? Brian can't even lick himself in Chris's body, but a car accident with the machine in tow sends out a pulse wave across Quahog, switching everybody's minds and bodies.
We need to get to the Weekapog Inn fast. Can you drive us?
No.
Dare I say this body swap might be an improvement for Joe?
Now we need to find an energy source powerful enough to match the electrical surge that swapped the town in the first place.
Which is just a long-winded way of saying someone needs to get struck by lightning. Thanks for taking one for the team, Brian. Thankfully, that reactivates the machine and sends everyone back to their own bodies. Well, almost everyone.
The movie Roadhouse.
Well, it took nearly ruining everyone's lives, but I think Brian finally found a reason to live again. Congrats, you absolute creep. But this device is definitely an A for us, creating a fun scenario that manages to get a lot of characters involved, and allows us to hear Seth MacFarlane do an impression of Stewie, who's doing an impression of Peter. And Stewie would revisit an old idea from Season 3 when he created a shrink ray in Big Trouble in Little Quahog to punish Brian for making fun of his height. So Brian's bullying Stewie by placing something of his where he can't reach.
I can't believe the nerve of that dog. Teaching me a lesson about size?
Yeah, I mean, Brian's only like a foot taller than Stewie, and two can play at that game. You put Brian's booze next to the vacuum cleaner and he'd be sober before you know it. So Stewie builds a little something to teach Brian a lesson about size. You know, he's kinda cute at this size. They should make more dogs that can fit in your pocket. I'm sure no one would squish them by accident.
Help!
Oh, crap!
So Stewie ends up shrinking himself down to save Brian, but when they try to regrow themselves, they hit a little snag.
Did you hit the tiny button or the button that says tiny?
I hit the button that says tiny. You said hit the tiny button.
A real who's on first situation, except much less funny and a much higher chance of someone dying. So now, Brian and Stewie have shrunken down to a microscopic level.
It's beautiful. I just wish my hot girlfriend were here to see it.
Yeah, I'm sure we're all buying that. But luckily, they find a guide through the microscopic world with some friendly water bears, who looks neither like water or a bear. Walking prolapse probably would have been a more accurate name.
And if you guys help us, we'll make sure you never want for water again.
So the water bears help Brian and Stewie make the long, arduous journey 1 foot away from the shrink ray, but they end up getting chased by some vicious predators.
Oh my god, it's the dust mites!
But using the combined weight of themselves, the water bears, and the dust mite horde, they manage to apply enough weight to the button that makes them grow bigger.
Stewie, you're a genius! Oh no!
But not enough of a genius to realize that pointing a growth ray at a dust mite is a bad idea. Personally, I would try to domesticate one, but I'm just built differently.
Ah! Poison gas! They must have gotten an exterminator for the rat!
But it turns out that an exterminator is just what they need. Oh, and Tiny Tom Cruise. But really, we could all use some more of the little guy.
How can we ever repay you?
Well, you could make a sizable donation to the Church of Spaceship Beep Boop.
Yeah, I think they're good, but Xenu speed to you, you magnificent tyke. So while the shrink ray opened up a lot of possibilities for a microscoping adventure, we still like the microship from a Mission Impossible a bit more. That one's decked out with a ton of defensive measures, which would have made taking on the dust mites a breeze. So for that, we're just gonna put this one in the B tier. Ironically, it's the little things that count the most. But Brian would count on a Brian robot created by Stewie to record the greatness of his life, though in the end, he just ended up falling in love with himself and Bri Robot. So Brian, now another year older, worries that he won't have much of a legacy to leave behind once he's dead.
I just want my story to live on, even after I'm gone.
The story of what exactly? Failed fatherhood? Rampant alcoholism? Barking at another dog without realizing it's your own reflection?
Maybe I can lend you a hand, Brian. I'll help you write your biography.
Really? You do that?
Well, yes and no. Stewie won't write it for him, but he will build something that makes documenting his life easier.
Whoa, assohoy.
Classic.
Stewie, this isn't a book.
Dang, nothing gets past you, huh, Brian? But what it is a way for all of Brian to be remembered.
This robot is a living record of you and your history. It knows you and your mannerisms.
Just what we need, a Brian that will be here forever. But the one person who loves that idea the most may just be Brian himself.
Have you read my book yet? I'm downloading it right now.
And no, he's not crying because reading it causes him physical pain. Brian actually found someone who loves his book.
Yeah, this is fine.
Finally, no more practicing on yourself in the mirror. So Robot Brian reminds the real Brian of everything he loves about himself, but also the things he hates about himself.
Sounds like that water is pretty refreshing, huh?
There's a special word for a narcissist who hates things he does while not realizing that he does them, but saying it would probably get this video flagged. At least Brian cues in eventually.
I hate you! Which means I hate me!
So this was just a very long way of Stewie convincing Brian that nobody wants to read his autobiography, not even him.
And when you die, the most you'll want written about you is he was a good boy on your tombstone. And even that will be a complete lie.
Dang, so is this supposed to be a way to make Brian realize he needs to improve his life and make the most of it? Because after that drilling, I think Brian's ready to pick out his tombstone. So Robot Brian is gonna get a D, mostly because he's one of the least interesting or well-designed out of Stewie's robots. Sure, it's impressive he looks just like him, but his whole purpose being to bring down Brian just isn't as fun as the usual robot beep boopin'. And when Brian and Stewie visited a garbage island to retrieve Stewie's big wheel in Island Adventure, Stewie had to build an upgraded version of it in order to get home. So Peter's cleaning out the garage and pretty nonchalantly decides to get rid of Stewie's big wheel.
Wait, you're throwing away Stewie's big wheel?
Relax, it's not even his. I took it from a front lawn after a rainstorm.
And now the cycle continues. The bike will go on to fulfill another child's life for about a year until they discover what an iPad is.
I've got to get that big wheel back. Will you drive me to the town dump?
Sure, but what will driving to Principal Shepard's apartment accomplish? But Stewie manages to figure out that it's not at the dump, but actually in the ocean.
If it ended up in the ocean, it most likely has traveled to Garbage Island.
Okay, now I'm getting confused because I've also heard someone refer to Principal Shepard's apartment as that, too. But it turns out Garbage Island is an actual place, a floating mass where society's trash is done away with.
I fell off a booze cruise.
You what?
Yep, washed up here. Matter of fact, we all did.
And yes, I did mean trash in the literal and metaphorical sense. These guys are basically dumpsters for booze and narcotics.
There's tons of free, half-eaten food that washes up.
And we just bang each other all day.
Well, that may sound great to Brian, but now that Stewie's found his big wheel, it's time to get off this island.
My plan is to attach 6 Jimmy Buffett margarita machines to it, which should be able to propel us home.
Even in death, Jimmy Buffett is still helping us get through the bad times. Enjoy the big Margaritaville in the sky, King. And so, with a few upgrades to the tricycle, Stewie manages to actually pull the entirety of Garbage Island back to the mainland. RIP to any beachfront properties. So the souped up big wheel is definitely cool with its salvaged and repurposed parts. We're gonna give it a B, mostly because we're a big fan of inventions that are sort of cobbled together, showing off the ingenuity of the character and the nutty physics of the show's world. But Stewie would lose all of his ingenuity when he built a gene-altering device that accidentally turned him into a real baby in Baby Stewie. So when Brian's sick of coming in second intellectually behind Stewie, he tells him that eventually he'll grow out of his genius.
But once a griffin hits puberty, they turn into a full-blown bozo. Bozo the clown?
So they become a terrifying hellspawn that makes even the devil shudder? Yeah, Stewie may want to do something about that.
This is my new invention, a gene-altering device, or GAD.
So Stewie's plan is to remove the DNA from his body that will eventually turn him stupid, but fate decides to hit him with an Uno reverse card.
Did it work?
Doggy! Big doggy!
No, that's not yes in some kind of advanced language Stewie knows. Stewie now has the brain of an actual child of his age. At first, Brian enjoys being the smartest one out of the two of them.
Doggy! Big doggy!
That's right. The big doggy.
But then he realizes he's stuck with a baby boy. Suddenly, his striving for superiority over a toddler seems even more embarrassing.
Brian face! Brian face!
Yep.
Brian face!
Only a few more now.
Well, that was fun for a hot 5 minutes, but it's time Brian changed Stewie back. Told you not to feed him after midnight. That's a good lesson for both babies and gremlins. Luckily, Stewie also has a time machine, so Brian can just go back and apologize.
You're not gonna grow up to be dumb, you're gonna grow up to be you. Who's way smarter than me.
Yeah, but that bar is so low you could just step right over it. But the two reconcile and Stewie puts an end to his gene splicing habits. This one's gonna get placed in C, as it does play a pretty big role in the episode, but we think more could have been done with it outside of a few glimpses of altered Stewies. If anything, it reaffirms what we already knew about their friendship. Don't ever let Brian do a science. But Brian would do a science of disastrous proportions in P Terminator when he reprogrammed several Terminator replica robots to come to the present and kill Stewie. So Stewie's designing a Peter-like robot that he can use to finally destroy Lois.
The technology is still years off, even for me. I've got a lot of kinks to work out.
Well, clearly someone was kinky enough to figure it out, because a P Terminator later shows up at their house.
Okay, Terminator, kill Lois. What are you doing? She's in the kitchen.
No, bad robot. Choking Stewie is for the bedroom only. But it turns out the robot doesn't answer to Stewie, but to Brian.
You are Brian Griffin. You programmed me to kill your enemy, Stuart Griffin.
Brian did that? I'm kinda getting guy in the group project who did nothing but got the same grade as everyone else vibes from him. So the pair travel to the future, where they find their future selves warring against each other, no doubt because of something truly heinous.
Brian and I were friends. He ruined what could have been a perfect Instagram post with a sarcastic comment.
Yeah, that checks out. The gals be fighting again. But when they return to the present, new Terminators start to get sent back to them.
Hello, Brian.
Brian, that's not a cop. That's a Lois Terminator!
And here I was thinking Lois had finally gotten a job. But a ton of replicas of familiar faces get sent back to finish them off. And the only way to defeat them is to reaffirm their friendship so that the future doesn't come to pass.
Brian, we have to kiss.
Oh, come on, Stewie.
Because how can you hate someone if you've done a little spit swapping with them? Sounds like ironclad logic to me.
Brian, it's working.
How much longer?
Sorry, didn't realize it was such a chore.
But the kiss scene across time works, and the Terminators disappear from existence. But the Terminators are going to reappear right up in the A tier. We're suckers for some movie references, and they did a great job recapturing the essence of both the original Terminator along with the T-1000 variant. They lead to some of the best action sequences of the later seasons, proving that creating dangerous AI is good for something, I guess. And Stewie would try to create life with a Victor Frankenstein setup in Peter Pumpkin Cheater, turning Rupert into a murderous teddy bear. So Stewie's trying to do a couple's costume with Brian, but the latter just isn't really feeling it.
You're off tempo again. I'm starting to think you don't really want this.
I don't want this.
Well, stop beating around the bush and just say what you mean, Brian. Or he's just really in character and wants to break up like the real Sonny and Cher. If so, props for the method acting.
Rupert can be Sonny because I'm done. I'm not taking you trick-or-treating. I'm gonna hang out with my friends.
Are you sure you're using that word right, Brian? Do you actually have more than one of those that warrants the use of an S at the end of friend?
Have Rupert be Sonny. You know what? Maybe I will.
So Stewie builds his best Frankenstein-inspired machine, complete with levers, switches, and sparkling Tesla coils that probably do nothing, but they look cool.
All right, Rupert, prepare to be brought to life to be my Sonny for Halloween.
You know, I was dunking on Brian's lack of friends, but Stewie's gotta be in the same boat. Bringing your teddy bear to life is a real taking your dad to prom kind of move.
It's not alive! It's not alive!
Well, you gave it the old preschool try, but Stewie may have actually spoken too soon.
But you've got me, and baby, I've got you.
Cool, cool. Hey, quick cue, what does that mean?
Oh God, I'm too late!
You're not too late!
Yeah, that's about what I was thinking. The device Stewie uses doesn't get a ton of play in the episode, but we'll give it a C purely because it's just a nice vintage throwback. Probably not super accurate to the book, but Family Guy isn't accurate to the original Family Guy novel either, so oh well. And that's our ranking. Did we miss any? Be sure to let us know down in the comments and let us know what invention of Stewie's is your favorite. And if you haven't already, be sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe if you want to see even more great Family Guy content.